you will see them die one by one every single day, and within about a week, your entire colony that costed you about $50 will literally be wiped out. Hello guys, welcome back to another video. So in this video, I'm gonna show you guys how to keep cherry shrimps. So in this case, as you can see in my 10-gallon tank, I do have Bloody Marys. But you know, Bloody Mary is the same neocaridina's as the cherry shrimps. I do actually have the cherry shrimps down there. It's the cherry relies. Let me see if I can spot a couple. I mean, the bubble is crazy, so I don't even think I can see any of them. But anyway, so I used to keep all my cherry shrimps in another tank, and I sold them all, and now I keep Bloody Marys. But having to keep these guys doesn't take, you know, a lot of effort. Honestly, they are pretty easy to keep, and as you can see, my setup's not as complicated as you guys think either. So let me actually show you guys. So this is a 10-gallon tank. I don't know in liters, but you can look it up. It's like vertical. It's like long that way, you know, and you know it's shorter this way. This is what the most breeder have their breeding tank set up. It's most efficient when you're stacking up next to each other on a shelf in a tight space, but this is how I have it. But in order to keep these guys, first of all, you're gonna have to go buy some. I don't know how much it costs wherever you live, but from where I'm from, I'm in California, Los Angeles. These guys really vary in cost depending on quality, I believe. I've been doing this for a couple of years, and I figured that it has to be the quality that really determines the price of these guys. Because look, you can buy these guys on literally anywhere, Craigslist or any online or any like professional shrimp and fish selling websites. But the cheaper they are, not all the time, but the cheaper they are, they don't last too long. But the more expensive they are, in my case, I sell them $3.75 for juvies. I don't sell the adults now because, you know, I'm in the process of breeding these guys. As you can see, they're doing great. But in my case, I feed them the best kind of food and give them the best kind of aeration and filtration, all that. So it's nothing too much to worry about. But yeah, in order to have these guys, you're gonna have to buy them. And for me, I think I started buying them at around $2 each. And then it went up to about $3 each. So then every time I buy for about, you know, $2.75 each, and I buy anywhere from 10 to 20. So once you bring them home, obviously you're gonna have to acclimate them to your fish tank. And in order to acclimate them, you're gonna have to have a tank set up beforehand, which has been cycled for a couple of weeks. I suggest around 3 weeks. If it's not cycled, I'm sorry, but I don't recommend for you to keep these guys because these guys are actually way more sensitive than fishes. You might be able to find that these guys are rather easy to keep and easy to like breed and whatnot, but unless that's if you have a nice and cycled tank for these guys. But if you guys don't have a nice cycled tank for these guys, you will see them die one by one every single day, and within about a week, your entire colony that costed you about $50 will literally be wiped out. But yeah, have a nice acclimation and whatnot, and once you have that, put it in your tank. Honestly, when it comes to like substrates or sediments, it really doesn't matter. These guys don't really interact with sediments as much. They would look around for food on the bottom like those guys do, you know. There are plenty back there. They're looking for food, searching for other, you know, stuff around on the plants and whatnot, but not a lot on the ground, honestly. I see them hanging around on the wall where algae is present, which is great. Like especially the baby shrimps, these guys hang around on the algae side, just picking on algae, and then once they grow a little bit, they get more exposed to this area, or the more open area, and then later on they explore the very open area where they interact with other shrimps and they eat, you know, the best kind of quality food that I give them. But you know, in terms of sediments, I technically don't exactly have a recommendation, but gravel is fine. Honestly, gravel, about an inch of gravel or half an inch of gravel like mine. And I definitely suggest, however, a black or darker color gravel if you're using a gravel, because it is said that these guys, the colors pop more in darker places, so they can like flare their color and so they can mate easily, I guess. But if you want darker and more true colors to these guys, I definitely recommend having a darker sediment or gravel. Sand is definitely one of the better options as well. Like at this tank, I have a couple of cherries, and that's the relay right there. That's the cherry relay. If it can focus right there, that's the cherry relay, and that's the cherry. It's kind of bright. And we have another one right there. That's another cherry relay. But this is the sand sediment. This is a 20-gallon tank my Volcano Blue is in. Volcano Blue actually she isn't doing too good right now. I don't know why. I think she worked too hard on this pile of sand that she created right here. But anyway, so sand works perfectly fine, but I don't see them digging around as much. Excuse me, but definitely the crayfishes dig around, look for food, more active. But these guys are so tiny that they can't even dig around the sand. So as I said, the sediment really doesn't matter. So pick whichever you want. That goes with the theme that you have, if you have a theme. But definitely pick a darker color sediment or gravel for your tank, so these guys can have more popping color. If it's red, then more redder, or orange like these guys, more orange. And speaking of orange, when I'm talking about cherry shrimp keeping, I'm speaking for all the neocaradinas. Like neocaradinas are cherries, the orange sakuras, and the blue diamonds, blue diamonds, and the green jade, all those guys, not the CRS and CBS. I will do another video about those guys because it's completely different. But in terms of these guys, the sediments, darker color, and when it comes to decoration, honestly, nothing necessary if you don't have any other fishes in this tank. In this case, since I'm breeding these guys, I am very careful. I usually put in fry guppies in here so they can help clean and whatnot, but in this case I have a large colony, about 50 to about 100 in this 10-gallon tank, and there's a lot of babies, like a lot of chivies around. So I even took out the baby guppies so these guys can explore and really grow and eat and be wherever they want. But in terms of decoration, you want a lot of hiding spaces if you're gonna keep any other fishes in here. And in terms of tank mates, I really don't recommend anything except for cleaner fishes like ottos or algae eaters and whatnot, or even plecos. But these guys do perfectly fine on their own. But if you want, in this case I'm speaking if you're breeding these guys or want to have a larger colony growing in this tank, in your tank. But if you don't care about your colony growing or breeding, really you can put even guppies work. I've had guppies in my tanks for many years with my shrimps, all different kinds of shrimps, but they don't exactly eat them. And in this case, you're gonna want to put a fry guppy, not the adult guppies. Adult guppies most likely will see them as meals and will eat them. And when it comes to plants and whatnot, decoration, decoration really depends on if you want to make your tank look more decorative. But the decoration is not necessary, nor the live plants. This is a live guppy plant, and they just seem to like hanging out like in between the leaves and whatnot. So I have it here, but it's not necessary. As you can see, there's a bunch all around. But this is one of the better plants because I can see through it and nothing's being hidden. So I know like approximately how many colonies of these guys I have in the tank. So this is really nice. So Guppy Grass, I think this is Guppy Grass. So if you like, some decoration, I recommend a Guppy Grass. And in terms of filtration, you're gonna definitely want a sponge filter, nothing else. This one, I don't know why it's not working. I think this is way too strong because they're all connected. These 3 tanks are connected with one air tube, but I'm gonna lower that so these guys can get some aeration and filtration and flow going on. But definitely a sponge filter for these guys because HOB filters, hang on back filters, will suck up these babies. And I've seen a lot of these guys get sucked up in this tank. In this case, there you go. That's the pregnant cherry shrimp relay. It released all of its babies, but in there they really do get sucked up. I'm sorry, it's not focusing well, but definitely a sponge filter if you're keeping these guys in the tank. And I'm speaking for all of these shrimps, whether you have orange sakuras or blue dreams or green jades, whichever you have, okay? Definitely a sponge filter, and heater is not necessary. Definitely not necessary, because it's more of a risk. I did a video on are heaters safe for your shrimps and crayfishes in another video. Definitely check it out, but it's more of a risk factor. Honestly, it's honestly not necessary. So you don't necessarily need to have a heater as long as your fish tank or shrimp tank is at around like 69 to 73 degrees. You know, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, to sum it up, definitely have, you know, a nice gravel, you know, for their color to pop, and you know, a nice decoration like plants if you want. It's not, you know, necessary or mandatory. If you don't have any other fishes or shrimps, you know, perfectly fine with just empty tank. But if you do have other fishes, provide them with hiding spaces. That's way too large for these shrimps. But guppy grass like these, it works perfectly. And for the filters, sponge filter works absolutely great. Never hang on back filter for these guys. You will lose all of them. They'll all be sucked in there. So yeah, and the heater's not necessary either. And water change about like once every 2 weeks, and about, you know, 30% once every 2 weeks. These guys don't produce a lot of waste. I've bred them for a long time, for 3 years now, and trust me when I tell you, these guys don't. These guys are way too small to produce waste for you to do water change every week. If you're doing water change every week, it's perfectly fine. You know, honestly, it doesn't harm your shrimps in any way, because, you know, you're just providing them with better water condition. But if you have other fishes and stuff like that, I definitely recommend you guys do water change once a week, about 30% once a week. So if it's 2 weeks, about 60 to 70% in 2 weeks. You know, so yeah, go ahead and do that, and as long as you guys have that requirement, you know, set for these guys, you guys don't have to worry about anything else. But yeah, I hope this video helped, and I'll do another video on these guys and details what I feed them and everything, and how they, you know, how to breed these guys and all that stuff in next video. Alright, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.